Hello, good evening, scribes, initiates, sovereigns, Marstars, Parstars, Rastars, etc. Saturday, the 22nd of the 2nd, 2020. We have myself, David, aka Indy, and the living legend, aka Brother Kev. Over to you, my man.
Evening, everybody. Hope everybody's okay. Having a good week, having a good weekend. Yes, hope you're not too much stress. I've just managed to open my laptop, and then as the screensaver came up, I turned it off. So I'm starting again now.
Oh, sometimes
everybody.
Sometimes I get that when you get a lag on the tablet, your phone, your computer, your phone, the AKA, but the Android. And if you ever get it where your phone is just that little bit behind, and it keeps you end up pressing other buttons that you don't wish to press, and you can get into a fine old muddle with that delay lag. Like for instance, if you just pick up the handset and tell it to go on the internet, things start to update, and if you can't wait a few seconds, or when I open my laptop, it turns on the screen for you. And in the beginning, when I got it, my old one didn't do that, so it'd turn it on, and I'd press the power button and turn it straight off, like what you've just done there.
Yeah, exactly what I did. Just as the screen came up, I pressed the power button.
More haste, less speed.
What am I doing? Yeah, that's the one. Exactly what it is.
Let's say hello to, we have Albert, Alan, Ewok, Indy, Kev. I don't know if I've missed anybody off there. There's 10, I think, 12 watching, 6 or so saying Alan says been told being removed from my dwellings on the 10th of March. LOL. So I'm speaking to Alan tomorrow. He has somebody called Alan's made contact. I believe that is Alan from up north, and I'll update you. I've had a massively demanding, long, strong this week. I didn't get in till 7:30, 7:45 p.m. Friday night after my long, strong, and I needed to have some time to recoup today. I'll be on the phones and admin and email and etc. tomorrow, and we will bounce some chat. So Alan, I think, wants a chat. I'll update with him tomorrow. That's Alan of the Stanley clan, and then Alan of the Blair clan. We've got two Alans this week. Which is no problem. We'll
just managed to get in the room. I'm in the room.
I will speak to you both tomorrow, and I believe Kev may ring the Stanley at some point. Yeah, I did give you a nudge, didn't I? So that's good. Yes, bro. Indeed, that's it. We got it right. We're all flowing, and yes, it's an open chat, so we haven't got a specific subject, have we, Kev?
No, none at all. We just said we'd be here, so here we are. Yeah, we haven't really decided. Although we've covered about 100 topics while we haven't been broadcasting, which is half of the course, to be honest with you. That's what happens. Just like, hey, maybe we should press go live. Anyway, Ewok, Chris, mate, how you doing? Alan Blair, hello, Mr. Stanley. Yeah, I got your number, mate. I haven't forgotten about you. To be honest with you, I did sort of look through it and thought, shit, I was meant to ring him. It was a bit late by then, mate. But yeah, I'll give you a call, see how you're doing, brother. It was, we'll see what's going on. See what we can help with, if we can.
Yeah, we're going to start exploring the options of putting a few, let's think, directions of avenues to consider for communication and contracts.
So there's obligations on local authorities as well, things that need pointing out.
Oh yeah, by all means, yeah. There's the mandatory considerations and the care aspect and the duties and the obligations, medical requirements, mental specific care, disability. Oh yes, Lord. But alongside that, we're looking at the armours, protection, documents of non-disclosure, schedule of fees, notices such as to do with the instrumentation and civil issues. At least we're looking at a different side. I don't know, potentially. We'll see in the next few months where we can go, Kev, with a. We're doing some bilateral work to present a unilateral document, if you
Yes.
like.
Yes. Now there's a no, not an oxymoron, but yeah, a conundrum. Yes. Yeah, bilateral work to produce a unilateral agreement. Trilateral, in fact, I think. Trilateral approach to a unilateral agreement. Actually, I haven't spoke to Gray for a couple of days. I don't know what he's had a look at. He's probably had a look at that. So I've changed it a bit now. I must get it over to you. And I think there's a couple of points left that we might be best actually discussing them and adjusting on the fly, if you get my drift.
Fly on wall?
Brother.
On fly on wall?
Oh no, don't get him involved, Jesus Christ.
Cheese and rice.
Pete Tong, wasn't it? Cheese and rice. Pete Tong.
Alright, no problem, yeah.
But there he is. Hello, mate. Just seen you come in there.
Let's read the room. We've got some comments flying, it's going fast. I've put some links in. Let's just encapsulate what I've done at the beginning. You've got interesting first link from me. Just really is, Kev, take note. The first link I've put in on the chat is a channel that's got top 25. What do? They they protect and they secure. I forget what it's called. Something like CPS, SPC. Secure, protect, control, protect, secure. That video with 25 random top. That's just truly eerie. If you watch that before bed, you probably won't sleep. So just bear that in mind. All right. And it will put ideas in your head of which you will not be able to get out, which is it's not just me. Trust me when I say this. I know about the psyche. So if you choose to watch that first video link of the top 25 scary, bizarre, unexplained, I don't know, it seems a bit too good to be true, this. Before I finish, I will just say that I was watching it and I was like, hang on a minute, you're telling me that you found all of these are just like, so one of these videos would be an accolade to your collection, do you know what I mean? But to have this amount is a little bit of a whoop whoop. But just take that with a pinch of salt and enjoy it. Probably watch it midday, and you'll probably get all the mostly. It really is. I'm not saying it lightly. It's quite a shocking collection of random, like, wow, I thought I'd seen it all, but obviously there's a few more.
There's surprises still out there.
I found somebody's put on the .com that I'm obliged to share with the fam because this is what we do. We're not a secret squirrel club. There's a pandemic bond shocking insurance deal. I've said thank you to PSB. That's not revealing anything private, just a respect for the work and the connectivity that we have going off in the background and in the private. But the channel's Logical Annie, so I've heard things about that. Annie Logical and so forth. I'm not claiming anything, I'm just saying I'm aware of what's going off. So as this is being posted around, I just thought duty bound to share that and let you all see. That's in the link, also posted by me. It does say pandemic bonds, and then you've got a third link from me, which has got the lifting the lid. That's a flat earth FE. Whoops, whoop whoop. Sorry everyone. FE channel, and on this FE channel, he's really. I bow, I doff my cap to Lifting the Lids channel, and his presenting he's got some excellent screen candy. If you go over and check, you'll see how the room goes in and what he does. And I want that software. I want to do that with us. So maybe we'll see how we go there. But on this video, it's called something like Feel Good Friday drive time video or something. At the 20 minutes mark is the bit where I was correct earlier on the previous chat with brother Eric on the fostering video, where I said it's a bit like the mountain lion stare out scene. Well, it was on that video, the last link I've posted, at 20 minutes in. If you just roughly if you just go there and just watch and be amazed, and you'll hear everything. I repeated it quite well, accurately. Yeah, you'll enjoy that. That's just truly just a credit to the man that filmed that and stared out a mountain lion. When you endure your first, because it is an endurance, your first agent, debt collector, bailiff, doorstep, unwarranted entry attempt, then and you stave it off. It is kind of like staring out a demon, an ogre, a predatory. He's after something. They're saying they're going to collect. So the mountain lion wants to collect your ass, and that man wants to collect your ass. So it's no different, really. Your ass is on the line. And over to you, Kev.
Fair analogy. It's come to take your balls.
Your ass is on the line. So. Right, the room says.
Ewok's going to be on that this week. Just give him the old cougar stare, mate. You'll be alright.
So, Alan, yeah, we will chat, both Alans, we will, so no panic. They're putting some comments in the room. Goods removal for council tax. That's Ewok saying that, actually, sorry. Oh, wow. Alan's on about disclosure on the BC. Birth certificates.
Albert's put a nice comment in there. Fair play, mate. Oh.
If something is in disrepair and you've reported it to the housing officers about the issues, then that's a breach of terms and conditions of agreement and policy, and probably health and safety executive guidelines. You've got evidences for argumentation that it's a one-way street here, where they ignore all of their duties, obligations, and legal liabilities and dust it under the carpet because that's common practice, and they just manipulate you through their malfeasance.
You're going to get it in the pipe regardless.
Yeah, if you have, just seriously though, if you have got evidences of emails or you saying you've reported issues, then if you've got disrepair and you've reported repair and followed policy, and then they're trying to enforce policy to get you out, well, that's null and void because they've created a breach, haven't they? So we can work with that, and we will speak privately, but in general terms we can let folk know that that's what that was for. I think Blair, as he wants to be his name calling of Blair, and for others with the interaction of the officers and agents, where we've had chats and focused and done some PowerPoints and scenarios and are working through the finalisation of the quiz. What did I call it now? Grading tools rather as a quiz. Then we will put some documents together trilaterally, maybe, or maybe more of us, and we'll carry on working with the next layer of the interaction, and alongside the publications that we've done with the download section of your literature resource library on the .com, we'll put together the what have we done now, the foundation level free completion clean hands doctrine. We've done that, and then we go up to the that would be the merit, the middle, and the special will be like the level where Kev, I and others are, with the dexterity of the the tools, instruments and areas. We're not masters, but we're all a lot are different areas. So the publications of interaction with the magistrate, civil participation venue for civil issues. I was speaking to Kev earlier, and we're getting quite familiar and au fait, aren't we? It's getting quite nonchalant, the way that we approach and see and envisage and manage, and the confidence, the instruments and the results so far can only mean that we have mentioned private prosecution, but that's a bit blasé. We're just looking at defending claims, counterclaims, and staying in honour is all we need to do. It's keeping our man's head and person's head above water, keep the boy above water, remain on land, and control rather than them controlling. So we are in a strong position where we'll be able to put in written format, in short, concise, summarise, comprehensive summarisations, ideas and objectives to make you safer and get to the end goal safely, limit the liability, correct the relationships, and not represent wrongly, if that's something you follow, Kev.
Yes, I do indeed. Well, to say, I think in some way, completely understand the process you're using before you move on to the next stage of. Because I say a lot of this stuff, there's not time limits because it's fraudulent, etc., etc. So there's no statute of limitations. So you can afford to sit back and be more considered rather than trying to get involved in 27 different processes all at once, which, believe me, just this shit blows your mind anyway when you're getting into it. So you one thing at a time is the way. Split it up, right, do that one. Or do X for that one, so we're waiting for a response, then move on to the next one. Let's do this for that.
So that's the thing. Man can't handle a lot of pressure. Man isn't legally trained. Man isn't able to do. We're great, strong, creative forces of the mind, body, and soul, and the spirit. But in reality, IRL, in real life, we're pretty much knackered, and we're beat and tired and confused and not very confident, and only just getting out of the pod of the matrix. To be fair, nobody has turned into we're all Mr. Anderson, Mrs. Anderson. Nobody's at the Neo stage yet. We're still at the Misters. We have got a few of us, Neo and Matrixes, guiders and oracles and so forth. But the trust that I mentioned earlier with brother Eric, oh, wow, and his chat with fostering and adoption. It's that's what I was saying. Wow. That we could have mentors that have got time, love, and information to give freely. Retired ones that can. This would be the the trust's asset would be an ever growing resource pool of time, love, and information that would be given to discretionary beneficiaries that were vulnerable under care orders. And this is all being made up on the fly to be tailored, to be suited. I'm not picking a trust and thinking, it will be that one there, number 43. And it's just, bear with me, but I do believe, I have got notarized through YouTube of what we declared to do. So we would utilise this kind of the area with the family and the management and the support system through various local, like you have locally embedded agents that we know of, and you'd have locally embedded trusts, if you like. And instead of going to the offices of the UK.gov, you'd go to see one of our private informant avenue outlets, ambassadors, protectors, many names. I'm not sure yet what we're going to decide on. The language and that is key, as you know. So, and then you'd have a chat, and they would then send you to where you would maybe need to go, and you'd get the correct. So if you did need to deal with a private corporation that's registered for a business and masquerading as a government, then you could interface with that knowingly under full disclosure with no liability instead of the full liability, because they've had it their way, one way, for too long. So we have got the options and the privileges of going down the line, haven't we?
Yeah, we have indeed. But conversely, if somebody wants to pay me £250 an hour, I might find I'd be able to get a little busier. I can see why those buggers at solicitors and that are all busy all the time, eh? I'm sure I could get motivated, but that's not what this is about.
No, yeah, exactly. Time is money, yes, and the extremities of what these, like deed polls. When we was on with brother Eric, and we're talking about what go on with adoption, fostering, and surrogacy, and etc., and movement of titles and property, that being man's blood, the sired assets from the loins. Deed poll. I've done it and had a little play when I was younger, lots of years younger, and I've had from Dad's Irish name to the family Italian name, and that was done via an agency using deed poll. But we can do that, and like you've done with the credit recoup on the clawback for the PPI, you didn't use anybody, Kev. You managed it yourself. So there's things out there that you can do if we know for ourselves, and much like the government acting as the administrator and putting us as the trustee, and they becoming the beneficiary of parts for the services and things obtained under non-disclosure. We can much in the beginning stages now, I do admit, but we can look to administrate and credit control ourselves effectively. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't need to get any third parties involved and stuff and shit for 40% and, you know, ridiculous amounts. They're doing exactly the same. All you're doing is going, oh, I give this company permission to send this letter that I could easily just write myself. Or in fact,
Yeah.
I go onto my bank. I go onto my bank's own website, and there is a not even a forum. There's an area there purely for PPI, and go and register. And then the bank go, okay, we'll do everything from here. And then you just sit and wait, and they send you some paperwork, and Bob's your uncle. It's and yet people are going to sign off with these firms who make it sound complicated and go, yeah, well, we take 40% of everything we recover. For what?
The same as the same as the no win no fee now. That's changed. Whereas recently I found out through a close interaction that when they do win the civil claim and it's out of court, they take a percentage as well as have their fees paid. Whereas before they just got their fees paid, and the whole of the winnings, the injuries and remedy, etc., cure and maintenance was given to the claimant, and it was wholly given. But now that's changed. If it's a civil issue, and we can put down the beginnings and the root, and if a few of us have successfully done a lawful redress using, forgive me, but legal in the initial, you have to go legal because it's their realms. They do law, but it's the higher division, so you have to legally dance and have your what would you say, your little sword fight. And put your armor on, and if you got your armor on and you know how to fight with your sword, and you've done well, then you end up winning. You may win using legal remedy, you may enter legally and win lawfully with the rebuttals and the acquiescences and etc. and what we've got there. So it's a very strong position where you could counterclaim. You can accept conditionally. Sounds difficult, but let's go from the beginning. You accept conditionally, and you put the honour, you keep in honour and the clean hands, and you put the liability on the claimant. They tacitly acquiesce, and they go into a default. You end up at the judicial arena, and as long as you enforce, then magical things happen. And is it not that simple, Kev? Sometimes.
It is that simple.
Yeah, so no solicitor is needed, and you can manage and insert a fee schedule, and we can, as a trust, those that have done it and won, get together and enforce this with a steering wheel committee, no?
I think it's a great idea.
While we're waiting for the retired Latin QC.
Excuse me.
Bless you,
sorry, everybody.
So yes, these misers that this claim culture I didn't see. I'm 42ish now. In the 80s, I remember hearing my elders speaking of the Americanisms coming across, and that nobody used to sue anybody. But in the early 80s, when mobile phones come out and technology was changing, and American blockbusters and MTV and B-Sky B was, society changed. I did notice the acid rave scene and, just madness happening out of nowhere with this technology, music, satellite. And all I'm saying is that, we noticed back then certain things and how they rapidly changed, pathways and forcing things on through. I need to go to the room, Kev, and see
I was just having a look in there. I always have a problem going, I'm right at the end. Chris, it's to say I've just done that in a letter to those very people, actually, on behalf of somebody else. But yeah, that's a good one to ask. Who is you? Yeah, ask him to explain that.
Some scribers, yeah. Jerry's just put a comment.
Style works as well. Ask what style they've used. Tell them that you've checked the Oxford and the Chicago manuals.
Jerry's asked, yeah, valid. I'm listening, Kev. When you say private capacity, Alan, how would you scribe that? So, what we would have initially within the trust for the care orders, and what we've brought up, the horrific writing off, of ones that are in trouble that are under care orders at a care home are left in the darkness to fend for themselves. With the pimps and the pedos, apparently, it looks like, from John of the Wedger, and that commission there that I brought to you. So when you say private capacity, Alan, how would you scribe that? This trust would have a lot. When I say scrolls, we'd have prescribed remedies that just need a little tweak to be, tailored to that individual at the time. Yeah, there were circumstances tailored to. But he's put there. I'd just like to say that when we say capacity, man doesn't have the key bit there, like with Kev saying about the character of the letters and the style of the letters, italic, New Times Roman, bold, capital, underlined, hyphenated, and so forth is one thing. And then you've got man. Does man have the capacity? When we say status, standing, and capacity in a legal, lawful realm, liability and non-liability, can man have the capacity to be charged, or is it the person? Well, when we go civil and they charge the estate and everything, we see how it's all written and how it is and how it's administered, then that's not us. So we apportion that liability to the correct entity, which is the person. And whichever way we go about this, man hasn't got the capacity to be civilly guilty and civilly active. Our person is. So that's the capacity. And private, man is in the private there, and you can have propria persona, and you can be in a proper person. You can be an alien. You can be naturalized. So you need to look at citizens, public and private, and when you go there, it isn't a quandary that we should be stuck on. It should be very basic and simple, and you should be able to go from common law to equity and trust. That's common law public to equity and trust private. You should be able to use your mental dexterity and your instruments and your know-how to this status, standing, and capacity, the capacity to be in and at law. Your status and standing, we've got the documents and working that out. So that is key, though, as Kev has backed up before, that once you correct a certain few elements in a textual form, it works wonders.
It does. Sorry, I just everything seems to be working okay this week in the room and everything. Yeah,
Hello.
Regis, yeah.
All is, yeah.
All is that, and V, how you doing? Who else is coming? Chris still there? Yeah, of course he is. There he is. I think I was meant to talk to him last fucking week. I just remembered that. Told you have to call me, Chris. Remind me if I've said something, mate.
That's all right. Yeah, we're all good. Me, myself, and I. That's the consciousness, the soul, and the spirit. The tripart. Again, the three noted. All is. There's quite a lot of commentary going down about liability. You can be anyone, man, person, fiction. When you have it, that's the Regis. Regis is king, so register. Give to the king, give to the monarchy, regis and stir. All is. You've got some Latin funky going off there. Lisa of the Grey, she is in the house. V. Thomas, new scribe, hello.
Lisa.
Are we in Plato's cave here, or are we discussing level
We're
Earth?
not discussing level Earth, no.
it's an open chat, so we are just here for the scribes, just to splash down and say what cast for your pleasure. You can ask questions, give us your praise and grumble. We're just going with the flow. So Plato's Cave. It's Kevin and Dave. We're having a rave in the SPL's Indie Cave, and you're all invited. How's that for you? We are freestyle alchemists of matter and vocabulary, aren't we, Kev?
We try.
And you scribes.
Try.
These scribes are our virtual one-man kung fu SWAT team of alchemists in law and science and love too. So welcome, enjoy, and let's rock.
Yes. Oh, here we go again. Go backwards. Oh, bloody thing. That's better. Oh, it's a bit. Yeah, it's been a bit mental, Chris, mate, and remembering things. I meant to phone my daughter back about 4 days ago. Jesus. I won't be in the good books over that.
Richard of the Graig, I see, new scribe, reference Alan, passport. If you sign, you've signed, so a signing is not an autograph. A signing is on behalf of the person. So if they asked you to thumbprint and autograph a passport and not give the equitable asset that being the signature of the person. So when man signs, that's the first stumbling block. That I'm not having a go at the brother Richard. I'm giving my opinion on what we found out when we've come to look at protection, reserving rights, signing with reserving liability, and signing with full liability. But let's just stop, pin everything, rewind selector. If you are signing, you are not autographing. If you are signing, you are applying the equitable asset on behalf of the entity, estate, fiction, strawman. So if anybody says, and in the future, and gives you a document, a one-sided agreement there, which is a misconstrued trust, because it's not a contract, because there's one signature, that being the signature of your equitable asset that you have applied on behalf of. So that isn't man, is it? That's the instrument and the person. So if someone says they're going to hold you to account to being that, you can argue, even if you didn't reserve rights and you signed with full liability, you've only signed for the person. And then you can say, if you want to hold me to that, I would be expecting you to be presenting an autograph with a thumbprint and the actual man there. So whenever you've got the instrument, you use the instrument to escape the liability, even though you haven't given any. But when you reserve liability, you would be reserving liability as the man, your unalienable rights, your unalienable inherent rights, creator given, your Bible law rights, and as I put in Genesis 1:26, was it earlier today on FB for you? So the claim of rights being written.
I'll give it a UCC though.
It's go on, carry on, bro.
Yeah, UCC 3-402 brackets 1 brackets B. That's exactly the one you want if you sign off. So if you sign that, or sign under that, don't put it after your autograph or signature.
But wait,
that is telling them exactly that it is standing. You are signing as the representative and not the person, and have no liabilities by signing.
But just if I was doing this kind of carry on with the .com and others were, and that, we'd all be in a fine old mess and not know where we was, and it's called non-disclosure. So if you're going to tell me that any one of you, that because I have signed something that was non-disclosed to me, you see, this clincher is that you need to have full disclosure and be in honour with clean hands. And if you can prove at any point in these processes that there was an element of unconscionable, that's unclean hands bit, where you go to your Pontius Pilate clean hands doctrine, oh, trust me, this is why they use these bloody words and why they were written down, and So you stay in honour, you got clean hands, you find out that Dave and Kev didn't disclose the small print. You found the small print a year later, and now you're trying to get out of what we're holding you to. You go and run to the high street and you say, Dave and Kev said to do this in the beginning, but they had and so the high street man goes, aha, yes, unconscionable, we'll sort this out. It'll cost you £60,000, your house and your tiny piece of your ass, okay? And that's what
children and grandchildren.
So yeah, just hold up. You know, when they don't disclose something and they're holding you to the liability, how do we get out of it? We ask for disclosure. We conditionally accept, and then everything falls down in law. But enjoy.
Like I say, everything's, if you signed anything, everything up to the moment you sign, that's disclosed. Anything comes after that is non-disclosed. So it's exactly what happens with DWP and people. You know, all of a sudden they go, oh, we've decided that you've broken this rule because you've gone £1 over the savings limit, so we're cutting all your money off. Well, hang on. Woo. When was that? When was that told to me? When was that rule disclosed? Well, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Actually, you know, it can be as simple as that, people. Because they will, you know, take the piss out of you. Not just DWP either, I mean in general. So you got to check with these arseholes. Excuse my French.
The Imperial Forces, as I'm coming to call them.
The Imperial Forces, yeah.
Yeah, well, we got... Yes, we have the monarchy, the Queen, she is the Francis, the Sisi. Exactly. Imperial
Forces. It's a sign of nature.
Roman Imperial UCC forces, Universal Imperial Roman Forces of Merchant Trade. It's not too far off the tune you've just hummed there, but it's contract now. Then souls have gone, religion has gone, they've lost God. We're all mixed up, you know, and desperate and crazy, and yeah, there we are, forcing a narrative here, arbitrarily injected narrative, as I am keeping repeating, that we've become accustomed to, much like I Have Your Face. There was a song about that, but I'll leave it there.
Midnight, hello mate. How you doing, Cherry? Oh, what is going on with my laptop? Press the back button on.
So when we have a contract, the key is what I wanted to top up with while you're just doing your working there.
Breaking things.
When you have non-disclosure, and we call it, and it's one signature, that's you've signed an agreement, a constructed agreement, a construct of a constructed trust. And you've got two signatures, then that's a contract, and we're in a whole different realm. So the signing and the non-disclosure, that's why we do the DSAR, is it not, where I was going to go, and the previous to that 1998 data protection, freedom, was it, of information, FOI, and we was and we was then, after the conditional acceptance, building up the litigation defence of the claims with the data, and you know, we'd go through asking for, under UK contract law, not just Freeman, Magna Carta, and you know, we'd go through the constitutional banking process and the constitutional UK law and procedural, as well as the civil pre-action protocols, the acceptance and the liability charges, and we get into a stronger place, didn't we, brother?
Yeah, exactly what you do. So you just know what moves to make. It's surprising what you can do.
So yeah, ask us questions. It's an open chat. We'll just reel back in and gravitate.
Yeah, just having it back, just seeing us, said hello to everybody. I said hello to Lisa and Atoms in the house. Jerry, hope you're all right, mate. Midnight. Richard Greg. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, mate. Hello. Mr. Thomas, yep, you've seen him.
MG, Midnight of the Gardener Clan is in. Lisa, Alan, Blair. ID card printer. I'm going to the trust will be investing in one of those. We have got some. Be careful though. ID, and an entity, an id entity. You've got to let me think now. You've got to choose your words. I know what you're saying. I'm not having a go, but I called the SPL's equivalent of an ID card an evidence of life and essence, and then I just put certain things on it, so it's equivalent. It's similar to an ID card. It is square, and it's probably the wrong dimensions, and they need to be changed a bit. But we will get a card, and on the back, signatures, witnesses, and thumbprints. So I'm looking at that, and if we get somehow this trust fund up and running with a healthy injection of a benefactor, then we will have a get together and see what we should acquire in the .com and on here for the trust, and what will benefit us to as a fam move forward quickly and effectively. If I could print 10,000 evidence of life, soul and essence cards, and me and Greg could set something up on the .com so you could just go onto it and do it, we'd be doing it now. But believe me, it's frustrating that we have this abundance of tech, but yet we have these barriers to much like the food barriers and the money barriers, if catch my drift.
Yes. What's that? I just see Alan Blair just said, has anyone got an ID card printer? No, just laminator. Is that the sort of thing you need?
No, you get these cards printed now, special ones where they laser print onto, like the work ones. When you're clocking into work, you can have a equivalent of, and they're quite good actually, very useful.
Clocking into work? What's all that?
What's that, Kev? Who is what?
Clocking into work? What's all that?
Your ID. That's what normally an identity.
Yeah, that's all changed now, mate.
Legal ID, your representation.
The last time I had to clock into anything, I would have probably been, bloody hell, maybe 18, 19. Been self-employed ever since.
I see Michael in there. Hello, Michael. Missed you.
Up until illness.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm listening, Kev. Sorry. The illness.
Yeah, I was just saying that. I didn't work many. I didn't really get on working with people. For other people, not working with people, but working for idiots. Basically, I've got too big a mouth, or had. And they don't like it when you tell them things they don't want to hear.
I already sent you my template before. Yes, I believe you have, Alan. We've got some as well, and thank you, appreciated. Yes, we're looking at printers, availabilities, ID and ego from Lisa. So, questions, comments, feedback, or interaction?
They can't be that expensive, can they, those machines?
A few hundred.
Lovely 3D printers, you can pick them up for peanuts.
Yeah, it is coming down. They have come down. They're a few £100 with the software and the printer and the cards and the ink and everything.
What's so special about them then?
They're just unique printers because they're used for commerce. Think about it. The only time that anybody's going to want to use and print ID cards, and because it's for commerce, they go up to whatever pounds, but you can get relatively modest priced ones that are about $270, $350. Cards, ink and delivery will be about $480, $500 or something for a modest one. So it's just because they're involved in business that people seem to ask for a bit more, but they have come down, and there is some better ones quality wise. That's it, but they are evidence of life and essence. So when you are interacted by the state trooper, officer, enforcer, civil enforcement officer, stormtrooper of the imperial death forces of the totalitarian Romanic tiptoe, yes, etc. You go, and he says, are you the driver? You go, no. Here's my driver. It's on this vehicle, this plastic card. That's my vehicle for my driver. I own that driver. I am not the driver. Funny man, are you on drugs? Is this your vehicle? No, this is a private property. This is a vehicle, what I've just handed you. That card is a vehicle for my driver. It contains it. It's the photo identification part of man's driving license that I hold in due course as the owner of my V5 registered driver. Okay then, this officer, whilst I'm at it, is a witnessed, signed, autographed, equivalent to, so it's autographed, thumbprint, yes, mark, seal, and identity of the private trust that I am supporting and presently with, based in Britain, England and Wales, whatever. This is evidence of life in essence. I am a private sentient tripart here today in my private capacity as a man under the Creator. I am with Jesus as Christ, and you have the two identities there, my person and the man. He will not know and have a Scooby-Doo what you're on about, but you're not obliged to inform him. It's not our fault they're not trained. It's not our fault we're all protected and 1, 2, 10 steps in front, and we have all of the armour, the artillery, the reserve liability, the functionality, the paperwork, the instrumentation, and we're already in the court getting the counterclaims while he's in there running the insurance and the license plate. So forgive me for thinking ahead out of the box and preparing man for something other than article and constitution and free man, because it's been getting us in hot water. And when I saw Ollie Pinnock go down, I thought, that's it, we've got to do something now, because this is just frustratingly annoying. We are all walking central banks and credit controllers, if you'd like to join in, and we refuse to be under the assumption and presumption of Westminster Whitehall and the public common law statutory codes that are mandated upon your person by default, assumed in as the debtor by these torts and acquiescence of malfeasance of office, whilst you've got private corporations out in the public realm coming out bestowing fines, fees and levies before man's been before a court of law in what, for benefit of the crown and the state and the church. No, thank you, not at all. So we got to do something. We got to do it now, because nothing is being proposed that is deflecting and winning. I yield.
You would. Just I'm thinking, what's Dave going on about? Because I'm reading the room.
ID cards. Why would man want to have an ID card? But I've just made a point of what an ID is and what evidence of life and soul is and who we see ourselves and knowing ourselves. So you need to be careful.
Your driving license is an ID, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a legal requirement. You see, that's the trick. There is how you, if you have your thumbprint. My voice is my ID. Your voice, your shadow can be an ID. Anything recognizable about you is a way that somebody can, recognize you, who you are. So the legal system wants a certain format, which is the date of birth, the name, and so, national insurance.
Well, hang on. There's this little comment of Paul O'Malley, but isn't Jesus the trustee? Question mark. If indeed we follow the word, which is fair comment. Well, I'd say. With the story of Jesus, he certainly took on all the liabilities, didn't he?
And the debts, and he's the insurance.
The trustee. Yeah. So he certainly was the trustee. He took all the liability on, didn't he, for all of us? So there you go.
He was the resulting trustee by order of the Creator, Yeshua, also known as many names, Jesus. You've got there coming with Jesus as Christ, so you've got the Christ-like consciousness. Yes, interesting. Legal is for the dead, but dying for the sins.
Right, mister.
Insurance, we heard brother Curtis on Crow 777, what I brought to you to watch, saying that it was the Santa Claus insurance policy. We talk about trustee, blame it on the legal person, the instrument, the estate, the trustee, but we would then, get out of the trustee position and put the person into the trustee position, isn't it? So effectively, if you know who you are and you don't take the Father's name in vain and you apportion it to the instrumentation, which is the person, which is the insurance policy, which is JC, with your Christ-like consciousness, knowing thyself, bosh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was Paul. That I really liked. That was a great question in there, mate. Actually, I really appreciated that. But yeah, absolutely. He held the liability, so therefore, trustee he certainly was. I just thought, what have you been arrested? This from V. Thomas. What do you mean? What have you been arrested? My suggestion is, if you've been arrested for causing harm, loss, injury, or you've deceived somebody, and there's plenty of evidence against you, then I would do the honourable thing and try and correct the errors. If on the other hand you're having acts and statutes rammed up your pipe, then my advice would be, and you know you're being arrested for a violation of that, would shut your mouth, don't say a word. And when I say don't say a word, I mean don't say a word. Don't say no comment. Don't say anything. Don't give him any info. If you're tough enough to do that, you're going to get a few hours down the cell. You might even get up to 24, but they'll let you go. But don't say a word. And I mean not a word. No comments, no good. People are always told, oh, just go no comment. If you say anything, they can imply. So if you say nothing, they can't imply if you say nothing. And if you've got to sign paperwork to get out, you know, if you don't sign this, we'll keep you, all that old nonsense, mate. VC it before your signature. V.C. Sign your name under duress, just to get yourself out of there and your property back. But my suggestion would be you don't say a word, and that's the truth. You have the right to remain silent. Fucking use it. It means silent, though. There you go. Yeah, Alan, absolutely right. Legal is for the dead. So you can have a foot in that can if you know how to use the instrumentation. It's not. I think there was a comment about representing yourself. Yeah, I wouldn't go and use. No, well, I certainly wouldn't go and use a solicitor. I'm more than competent enough to go and represent myself when, on the rare occasion, those situations arise, and I find it a great learning experience too. So I prefer to do it that way. But yeah, I'm competent and confident enough. I certainly wouldn't go to a solicitor. Absolute last person I'd use on the planet. Once you know exactly what they do and how all this shit show works, they're all part of the system. So that's the last people you want to go and get any advice from, because that's what they give. Unlike us, I don't want anything to do with the bar. Thank you. So no, I would choose to defend myself. Obviously, it depends on how much time you've got before whatever's happened. But yeah, there's a lot of studying to be done. If you haven't got much knowledge, it's not something to be taken on lightly. But that's what we hope to get everybody to the level of, at least being competent to handle this stuff themselves. Don't go and get involved with solicitors and all that. You can go and dabble in the legal world yourself. You don't need them idiots to waive your rights as soon as you engage them. As soon as they walk in that court, they're waiving all your rights because they're part of the game. They're all in it to get their hands in the estate.
Yes, I agreed. I'm just chatting to the room and
yeah, I'm scrolling back through. I just saw trust, that's right. I know, back in the room. Bill Turner, yeah. Mr. Turner.
The court is the paperwork, the building is only the venue, civil participation venue. This is right, venue jurisdiction. Yeah. And the court, your paperwork precedes you, the postage system and how they, why do they build the courts, postal railroad, the post office and the railroad first. Remember, streets and allocation, when you build a street, needs a postcode as well. The post office issued a post code. You have got a post code at the address with a post box size, etc. Long story short, the post office have got their management of the houses and streets, and somewhat interesting when you think about the Americas. And the two things that they established foremost was the post office and the railroad system initially. I wasn't there, but to why?
You liar, you were. Oh, look, Mr. Barnes is in the house. I see.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, I did say earlier, actually, yes, I do know. I did say hello, Michael, but then you started speaking and I shut up. Yeah, so.
Legal rep, of course, or any of them.
Oh, yeah, let's scan the room and see what we can find. Let's go. I'm good now, I'm all caught up.
I would, yeah, thank you, Paul. Sorry, I just got back up.
Yeah, so.
Oh, sorry about that. Cool. Tranced out for a second then when I was just having a drink. Back in the room, Kev, wake up. Split, but well, that's a good point, Lisa.
Oh.
Yeah. What about multiple personalities? Bring about nine. Which one?
I said that.
Excellent.
I said that about Mr. Glass and his wallet of IDs, yeah.
Yeah. What else we got? Yeah, Atom's been laying down some Latin in the house.
That's good, yeah, all is well.
Yeah, Benjamin, yeah, absolutely, mate. Starting at fertilisation, that was, I don't know if you was in the other week, we were talking about that. What was that video, Dave? With the divine spark and all that. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was Crow 777, and I've
Crow
said 18183, 18 something. I'm going off to randomly, but
there was an interesting bit in that, Benjamin. Should be up somewhere. I think it's probably up on here actually. That was interesting. About 15, 20-ish minutes in. If you go and have a listen to that, all about the divine spark point of creation. And where the Vatican are nipping in, that's the point they're getting in. They reckon they're getting you from that point. Really interesting, though. Really interesting stuff.
Well, yes.
You don't sign anything. No law says you have to open letters or anything.
So everyone, is good. It doesn't seem
to. Legal representation, not something I would do myself. But obviously, there are situations where that is your best option, and it may well be if you're trying to claim something back out of them and you've got a good case, then some of these you've got no option but to use them, really, unless you're that knowledgeable in what you're about to embark on, which is, see, that's where the hurdles come in.
Someone's asked the question about a notary public and a public notary. That would do well for you all to research. The key that I'll give you with that. Who was it? Let me just scroll up. Sorry, I was listening to you and I got lost in the thread as well. Then.
Yeah, sorry, that's what happens to me. I'm reading, and then you say something, and I think, Jesus, I bet he says to me, over to you, Kev.
Craig and Williams. No, it's all good. This is good because a good teacher, teachers will make you work for it, and disciplines will soon become apostles, given the right amount of. So search for a place on the web initially called the Notaries Society and read up on their homepages. You'll find they give direction about the representative society for the, I think, 760, 780, 70, something like that, notaries public practicing in England and Wales, and you'll find information there. A notary is like a notary, a qualified lawyer, and they're in the legal profession in the United Kingdom, appointed by a court. I forget now which one, faculties or something, if I remember rightly. The Archbishop comes into play of Canterbury, and subject to regulation by the master of the faculties, and the rules that they govern, by, are the same, similar, comparable to rules which affect solicitors. They have to be insured, maintain confidence, or what was the word they like to use? Fidelity is, I think you'll find. Yeah, is that the right? Yeah, that's a weird one, but the protection of the clients and the public. So you've got a lot of things to go through. England and Wales, the Archbishop functions. What do they do? You can have, concerned with generally witnessing and authentication of certificates, certification of signatures, autographs, authority, capacity to relate into documents to use in law or legal or even abroad, because don't forget, man does business and has to send it away, and they need to know, the paperwork is kosher, so to speak, don't they? So there's many reasons for, and this is at the common law. These are officers, I suppose, to serve the public in non-contentious matters, and they do get concerned with estates and deeds and powers of attorneys, the functions, oaths and affirmations, take affidavits, statutory declarations, witnesses, and authenticate. So you've got a lot to go through there and have a look at. I asked you to notarise. Maybe this has come about because I said I needed some notarisation of the claims being made of our intention and expression of the trust to protect the young blood and our sired assets, loins, young stars. And so maybe because I wanted you as witnesses to notarise the claims and the declaration that shit's going down and we need to stop it, that's good of you to elaborate further. And I don't mind helping out a little bit there and giving you some food for thought and dexterity for the research and the reasons why. And Kev, you got anything you can add? It's not a problem.
No, sorry, mate. Just Thomas was putting there about stats, defending themselves. No, I've not looked at it, but as I say, I wouldn't use the solicitors, they're idiots. Not giving it a large one, but just ring rounds. I would walk into a room for the solicitors and have them all baffled in 5 minutes. I'd probably know far more than most of them. So I wouldn't deal with them.
The scribes do, though, to be fair. The initiates of self and of law and, sovereign
everybody
initiates.
Does, really.
We all
if
do.
You put yourselves into it a bit.
Yeah.
You're all at that level. You go and speak to one. If you know a little bit about what the subject you're going to speak about, you'll time in knots in 5 minutes flat. And you'll be walking out there going, well, won't be employing him. He's an idiot. Exactly what they are. The courts, dissolved 2008. 2011 again, trading securities without license under the Clearfield Doctrine, which is easily searchable and found on search engines. Not going to, other than, well, I think you still probably get it on Google as well, but other search engines are available, DuckDuckGo, blah blah blah. But it should be easy to find, Clearfield Doctrine. And I've got I posted it somewhere the other day, the dissolved stuff, the numbers, the dates, the registration, got all of that. I posted that on somebody's page the other day, actually. Oh no, I sent it to somebody, that's right. I sent it to somebody with the Clearfield Doctrine, actually. I sent them that as well. But it's easy getting on. It's about 16 pages, I think. 13 pages.
Irish, top of the morning to you. What? And Quinn, I see, just landed, saying hello.
Oh, is he?
Them, yeah, Irish and Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Autumn's intent. Use Canaanite law and crush the bar stewards on the paperwork. Orthography, God, game over, boom. I like that intent. I like the energy. Finny, I've found something new, not new, looking at megalithic blocks and escaping from law. 9,000 years BC, Lebanon. There's that square, and I'm ashamed I've forgotten the name of the building now. I've put myself on the spot with the columns and the pillars, and it's been built on top of other such capital buildings that have been smashed down. And they're looking at the layers, and the archaeologist is saying, look at layer 3. He's saying that block there probably weighs 800 to 1,200 tons, and it's on layer 3. He said, so civilization of man 9,000 years ago has probably lifted that up and put that there to build on top. They're on about the giants of America. It might have been the Atlantean Guardians, a link on Robert Cipher, I think, who's on Tube. I follow him and I've posted a few of his links. It was either him or a link on a recommended from that. And I was like, hang on a minute. Canaanites, Phoenicians at 9,000 BC in Lebanon. And the third layer, so that's not before the 9,000. There's obviously empires and others that have been there, another 2 underneath the third layer. The third layer's out the 5th, and the third layer 9,000 BC roughly. And I'm like, this is predating so much again. And I daren't go too far back, but yes, when you say these laws and rules, it's quite disturbing when you go back for the continuum and the lineage, because not only do we have this complex and ethereal law system that we're all talking about and debating now, but we have these giants that were going around moving blocks that were 1,200 tons. And when we go on to FE, and something that I've picked up from someone else saying, it's the same for me. I get excited about, like with flat earthers, they get excited about the prospect that there might be something else out there, and we might be able to discover new lands and pastures. And just that mental projection of escape and more and discovery and freedom of sorts is what compels a lot of man's on. It's not so much a desire to an unbent desire to prove and to get one over somebody. It's just the escapism that comes with it. So like with this here, what we're doing, I get excited about the potential and the prospect of the non-liability.
Well, exactly. That would change everything, wouldn't it?
But good comment. Thank you all for joining on this Saturday.
Irish evening.
And you've got all this saying about your title to your property, 9/10 of the law, and possession is 9/10 of the law, and ownership of 1/10 is the title. But let's just pause that and say, correct. If you can prove in a court of law with title deeds, documents and whatever, then you can claim ownership from somebody who perhaps shouldn't have access or use to said property that's in question. Other than that, when you've got the squatters' rights in, all right, we've got the possession, the squatters are in, you've got your 9/10 effectively holding it down. And we've seen removal forced of the rule of law and the force of law coming into effect with the 9/10, and then because the old bill and whatever are there, they forcibly remove. And then we've got arrears and defaults and the equitable notice of equitable charge registered at the land registry. And then the default happens, the mortgage is insured, the default pays out with the insurance, because there's always a policy with the mortgages, so the mortgage is paid off. Then they repossess the house and sell it again and make more profit. Then they've got the SPV on the stock markets running around making more profit there. Then they hold you for account and ask you to pay back. So it's like, what is going on here? And you're in that property, but yet we're now seeing man in a tent because the notice of equitable charge trumps the possession is 9/10. So unfortunately, if I'm wrong in any of that, I yield and open up. Yeah, it's
I don't think so.
It's not good.
I mate, you're right, lad. What is going on with this? That's mental. Trying to scroll back to the room.
D Sonny D, new scribe. EDF sent me a contract. We're going to give you some information, no legal
We are
advice.
your new
Yeah.
supplier. That's nice of them, isn't it?
Easy. Look at this. Yeah, you can see that, Kev. Then there you go. We've got that. We're not giving no legal advice tonight. Disclaimer: it's just a chat. This is entertainment, and we will give you information and disclosures best we can, with a little joke in between.
So hang on, solicitor says do you mean a digital contract rather than contact?
Yeah, he does.
Hence no fraud. Well, of course there's fraud committed. When did you ask EDF, or did you go to them and say, could you come and be my energy supplier?
Hang on, me and you. Wait, Dave and Kev is new energy supplier, actually. I've just taken it over right now. Actually, you're with us. Sorry. I'm taking it over then if it's that easy. You've got an email sent just now. I've taken it off EDF with Kev, and we'll have you then if that's how it works. Good Lord. That's a joke, by the way. Sorry.
Go back and poke that solicitor straight in the eye. Tell him he's a dickhead.
Yeah.
People's Fund of Judea. Splitters.
So, if there's been a merger, or let me just think, if the dexterity, if this BDF have bought, say, like, let's just think, Northern Electric, and so you was with Northern Electric, but Northern Electric have ceased to trade because they've been acquired in the markets, trades and acquisitions, and they've been bought out or whatever, and they're now part of the EDF group, then you can't really argue that, because that's a transition of companies and acquisitions and progression, and then that kind of acquisition of supplier would be nominal, tolerable, acceptable. But if you was with somebody totally separate to this group of companies and so forth, and they've just said, one of the lads, them ones that come around knocking the door, maybe somebody's forged a couple of signatures to get a commission. I'm not saying this has happened, but I know mans that have done Sheffield things, and so things do happen where fraud is done and then the office gets it and thinks that the customer on the doorstep has done that when they haven't. But the lad who's going around, he's worried about his targets, he's got his families to feed, he needs his bonus, so he forges a bit of signatures under stress, So sorry, but yeah, you go.
I'm just going to say, Sonny.
Yeah.
Well, here's another point. Where did they get your data? If they've written to you, telling you that they're your new supplier, where did they get your data? Where did they get the consent to process your data under DPA and GDPR? Have they got consent from you? Did they check the people that gave you details have had consent from you? Plus, show me the contract where I've agreed for you to be my new supplier. Where's my terms and conditions? You haven't sent me any, so there can't be a contract. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, have all courts dissolved in water? If so, can I have my cash flow back in my bank to top up my currency? Eloquent. That is excellent. Just rolling up from all his a comment there she put. Well said, yeah, that's all good. Yeah. Special purpose vehicle, you couldn't make this up. No, you couldn't. That's why we have to just keep going over it and reinforcing it and letting you know.
Feral rights, Quinn.
Hey, what's that, Kev?
Quinn's put in, has anyone had a look at feral rights? Is that the way to spell that, feral?
Yeah.
You're talking feral as in wild. Feral. I've not, that I recall at this time, heard of that.
Oh, that would maybe going on to, let me think, non-citizens, non-civilly active Let me just put it out there. Let's say that you are a bunch of a group, a gathering, a tribe, a clan of travellers, and you are none. Let's say there's 100 of us. We've all got our modes of transportation, non-registered, private, and we're like a fun fair. There we go. We're a travelling fair. There we are, and we've got our horses. And we're travelling around, and or we could be a band, whatever, in a fair. What you get the idea, and then nothing's registered or licensed. I reckon that would be the way, because it's digital, modern. We can't be on horses and carts and in fields with wigwams and tents and that, because it isn't practical. So the feral would be maybe not with a fun fair, just a tribe, a clan with machines and horses, private property, etc. And you could travel around. I reckon that the feral aspect would be unlicensed, unregistered travelling types that cannot be interfaced, like I said earlier, with the gentleman, a colleague of Anne Marie's. It's origin Pakistan, in England as a migrant worker with all the legal requirements, and he's got turned down for a mortgage because he can't be bonded up, so he doesn't have the prerequisites for the from what I understand. I haven't had this first hand, but he has been declined due to things there. So the feral is the same when you look at this Reggie Star and what we've said, and if they haven't got that's why the .com hasn't been registered and put onto, because we can't stand here and tell you what we found out but then go and give everything up by registering. And fair enough, we didn't have disclosure before, but once you have the knowledge in the first hand, then I'd argue that to Room Scribes, that the feral aspect, unless anyone can say conclusively.
Don't know. Not sure. Don't like me going back on the laptop, in the room.
It doesn't me either. It jumps, goes a bit scatty.
So I can press it free up on nothing, won't move at all, and then I can't even get it. It goes a slightly different contrast when you've got on the arrows at each end. Can't even, it's weird.
Our Ahura Master has, let me do that again. Ahura Master has sent Anders screenshots saying, look, here's my comments about the technology and where the links are, the extra ones on the video with our interview. And he's then looked at the video and there's no comments. They're being instantly removed for some reason. And he's sent Anders the screenshots, and Anders has told me that there's some links that I need to share. And I will do. I've got them, but they're unable to be seen by the public because some algorithm or somebody's removing.
Something's going on.
Oh, massively. Yeah, you only told me that today, and I just said, yeah, you need to work out this away from here if we can, eventually, soon as possible.
Yeah, there's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, we'll get a Ahura Master back, and. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss on that front. And I've got some updates on, Anders sending me some more GANs. It's amazing. It seems to be too good to be true, this stuff, but we will see how it goes with the rest, with the clan. I'll get some of the afflicted. We'll see.
Like your arm drops off or something.
Well, yeah, this is it. That's why I've done a bit of a trial run, but we'll look at making it. There's a few scientists in the house that are looking at manufacturing their own. And if you have got an allergy to a metal like copper, then you wouldn't be suitable, for, it's not, when we say it's a one size fits all, it is. You can have a different type of elementary GANs made, so it wouldn't, affect your tolerances, what you're tolerant to and not, then your intolerance, you'd have to respect that. So Anders also mentioned about, he says, I'm concerned that you use a copper pot, Chester, and what you put your water in. He says, if a copper pot hasn't got tin mixed in with it, it can create, I think he said, anthrax. I went, what? And he says, yeah, he uses copper. And remember, we've all got copper. Well, majority of UK English homes will have copper, feed pipes, and I says, yeah, this is a copper pot, but I don't keep it in there. I just use it to molecularly change the water and transfer it into another storage container. He's like, oh, I'm happy about that. But I said, I'll mention it to the scribes later that using copper, then there's certain types and ways to treat. And if you get that green algae coming on, not algae, but the corrosive oxidization of the copper, you're getting into a dangerous area. So, take heed that all is not well when it seems it. Thank you, Anders, for that concern and that update and the, stepping away from. Is there
Alice put in there about no way to broadcast on it. We do
no way.
Broadcast on
Hold
there.
up. He's on about using it as a domain to set from, to rather than linking from tube on. Yes, there is. I'm working with G-Star with the technology and the plugins, the extra plugins we need to buy and integrate and work with. Keys, key maker. Someone said, where is the keys? I'm thinking of Ghostbusters where you need the key. Was it the key maker in the photo and that in Ghostbusters 2? The gatekeeper. It wasn't the key maker, was it? It was the gatekeeper. Sorry, but the word key in there. But yeah, we are going to look at these APIs and how to go through. I'd like to buy a dedicated server and stuff if we just had a few resources. It's not too far out the reach, and we could offer streaming services and hosting and all sorts. But that's in a dream, I'm afraid. For now, we'll little steps, as we said, with the health and wealth and the mentalisation of depression, stress, anxiety. It goes hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and so be it for where we are with our technology, and as we need to follow the curve. It cannot be rushed.
Yeah, Gail. Yeah. We've all seen topics and seen stuff on the resets, mud flood, Tartaria. I haven't looked at an awful lot of it, but yeah, I sort of keep it in peripheral vision.
Apparently, there's a globe in the Vatican City, in the chambers of the building there. There's a globe, and there's been pictures sent to me. Quite a few of you. Thank you all, Indies, initiates and sovereigns. You are legendary. I'm answering all the outstanding emails tomorrow, FYI, IRL in real life, and these pictures of the globe with Tartaria on, I'm like, wow, somebody needs to recently go down and do a bit of a video now and just see that there's a globe allegedly in the Vatican with the landmass continent where Eastern Europe is, with Tartaria on. I don't know if it's a Photoshop delight or if it's a genuine article, who's to say? But nice one, thank you for that. It did make me smile and chuckle. Mud flood, yes, we've had a lot of topics on that, but I am just leaving it for now. It's another area of distraction, like the flat earth comment above. The only thing flat earthers are scared of, I did notice that. It's just hilarious. We got to look at what's important and what's affecting us daily, what is causing harm, injury, and spilling of blood. Abundance everywhere, but yet we've got doors being closed and sanctioning going off. These things are interesting and a delight to some, but if you obsess about them and let them take over, then I think you've got the wrong priorities. The technology we are behind with, and Sun and Moon and other channels are doing great amounts of work on there, and if you can fill me in, do so, because I'm not privy to all of that, to be fair. It's too much. The Mandela is enough in itself,
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if it's real, but as I say, I'm not saying either way. I don't know enough about it, but there was all. And don't forget, over the years, all these out of place artifacts and the Antikythera device and stuff. So certainly points that to being a lot more gone on than we're told, and a lot sooner shit was happening than we're told. So yeah, nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me anymore. Yeah, that's right. I tell you, it was April Fool's Day was the first day of the year.
April Fool's Day was commonly known as New Year's Day. That's interesting. I've got a document to release. I think I already have. It's a compromisation of 130 something pages though, and it's called Christmas, the facts or the true story, origin and facts of surrounding Christmas, and it's a composition of tens of men's works and studies, and it's got an interesting time where you've got Easter and the rebirth, the Pentecost and so forth with the belief system there, and the rebirth, April Fool's Day. Yeah, interesting. I don't know if I'm sure it ties in with that later in the publications, the different calendars and the alignments and the times and dates. I have thought about that for a minute, but I didn't know April Fool's was known as New Year's Day. New Year's Day is nothing to do with Christmas. I know that, and I've not correlated with what you've said, but I'm sure in that publication was something relation. It may have been the New Year's part then, but bang on. And I've looked there, and it's somewhat very, very deep and confusing, which leads you onto the calendar, zodiac misalignment, another text, Assyrian, Dead Sea Scrolls, the Gospel of Thomas, and madness. Yeah, deeper and deeper. You think you find something, and then you go down somewhere else, and you wake up 3 hours later going, where am I and how did I get here? Don't you just love it? Or with a keyboard stuck to your face or something on the sofa, 5 a.m, the sun coming up, whoopsie.
Yeah, Mayan calendar's another interesting avenue. Aztecs.
Look at what Rosie of the Finn clan has put. I don't think you need to reclaim a name for a start. That's not what if you want to reclaim a name, I've got nothing to say on that because wow. And hello, nice to meet you, Rosie, new scribe. Have you heard that we can do that? I don't think we've spoke before. I don't know if Kev remembers you. What do you say to Sister Rosie there, brother? Without being facetious, with full love and respect to you, Rosie, but you've come on and said and asked a question. Here's your reply.
Well, reclaim your name. What name are you trying to reclaim? Which one? Because you don't want to claim the crown one, do you? That name. So, why do you need to reclaim anything? If it's yours, why do you need to reclaim it? If you're talking about freeing yourself from the bonds of the birth certificate and your capitalised surname,
the assumed
we may be able to give you some direction.
You don't want to be the assumed surety and debtor for all civil legal claims. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm not being horrible, but we have to help them. We're trying to help here with the angle of response.
Yeah, I'm not taking the piss. Yeah, not taking the piss at all.
No.
It's a funny question because of how broad it is. It really, in such a simple few words, it's just like.
And if I may help some further before I forget, I'll do it with myself. So. My mum is called Julia of the family Jeremita. In 1970, let me think, 8, she was in a hospital in Rugby, and she was in labour with baby David, and here I come. So after that delivery, baby David is now sojourned and been born or birthed legally, and I'm here now. That was on the 9th of May 1978. So I am told. I can't remember. I have to go on paperwork and the testification of my mum Julia. I believe her. And so then 2 weeks later, the name calling, was what we call it, yes, my calling was given to a general registry bondsman. And they entered that. An event happened. All right, no man, David was not. I am unable to be registered. You are unable to be registered. It's an event, and they make a entry, and titles and things are exchanged there. Claim of right, etc., is given by the informant, your mum. Now, with that given and said, let's go to the maxims of our friend and saviour, equity, and we look at one of the maxims there. One of the saving maxims that I've come to use for this position now would be, come on, David. First in line is first in time. First in time is first in line. So let's go back to 1978 delivery room, 2 weeks before registration. Made a 9. Made a 9. David's there. I claim that name, right? And I'm going to use the maxim of equity to shut this down and say, because I was given that name because I'm too young. You're all too young to do this, yeah? Because you're a minor, you're civilly inactive, and you're under God, and you're with your mum. You're in the most innocent position you could ever be. You've done nothing wrong. To defend all of these claims, you claim, right, here's the crux. Now, for the question that was asked, hypothetically, you claim the name by involving the equity, evoking maxims of equity. First in time is first in line. You was here first, the registration happened secondary. You can go back 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the registration and say, I'll use that point and claim it from there. There on in, private, can't be used, bish, bash, bosh, I rest. That's just for you as a new scribe.
I rest my case.
Yeah, man, bosh.
He shoots, he scores. Slam dunk. Yeah.
You got your name back. It's claimed.
Simon.
That's answered the question, and I've done it, I think. So there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just what you don't need to reclaim the name. It is your name.
Yeah.
There's only part of it that isn't, as far as the birth certificate is concerned, and that birth certificate has nothing to do with you anyway. It clearly says Crown copyright and not to be used for ID. So anybody that wants to claim that is you, ask them to prove it, because it says not to be used on the paper itself. So yeah, you don't need to reclaim the name.
No.
But yeah, your status, standard, and capacity. You need to differentiate between who you are and who your person is. And when you're signing something, who's signing it and at what position? You flesh and blood, or you're the representative for, by accepting no liabilities of the named person. They say there's plenty of things you can do. But to reclaim it, that's a bit ridiculous to me, in a nice way, and I mean that nicely.
Well, you see, the old capital version is their Crown copyright, isn't it? If you look, you've got the capitalisation of the family name on the certificate, or you did do. When you look at the letters that they send on the brown paper envelopes and etc. and summonses, it's always in the capital. Dominicus, is it capital something?
Yes, capital diminuent.
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
So therefore, it's not the lowercase, and it might even be little.
Diminua,
Yeah, it might be little Kevin, little David, little Rosie, and then capital Smith, Finn, and Jeremita. So they've affixed the debtor sinner to the Christian given calling there. So they've still given the joinder and mashed it up. They can put all lowercase and a capital Mr, capital Miss, then they've given you the title. So it comes in many formats and ways there, doesn't it? You've got to look at this. But when you say copyright the name, it already is using the maxim of equity, able to be claimed, and you can use these or not, or you could trademark and copyright. But then if you've got a Crown copyrighted name and you try and copyright and trademark that, I don't know who's gonna win on that one, because they've already got some part of it and different derivatives of it already claimed for and registered. So you have to be careful with that. You could set up a business.
Yeah, but have they copyrighted it?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, actually, it does say Crown copyright on the birth cert.
That's what yeah. That's it. So it does say, doesn't it? It's a Crown copyright, and you've got the Crown copyright right, which is why we don't use
Yeah, you might be
legalese.
getting into copyright infringement now.
Kind of, but
Of your own name. How fucking mental's that?
well, that's because
Fuck! I've infringed on myself. I don't know how I've done it, but now the government are coming to fuck me in the arse. Sorry, didn't really go quite so mad, but that's generally the rule. The road it takes, doesn't it, when the government are involved?
it's just
Oh dear. Brilliant.
watery roads of pain. But it's a calling. Names are nouns. They start with capital letters.
We
Let's
should all be
remember.
born with canoes, shouldn't we?
The capital letter name starts with, it's a noun, so that's why we have the separation in the style, status, capacity, and the mental side with the alchemical. You're calling. You can have an all lowercase, autograph and an all lowercase. It looks childish. It looks weird. It doesn't conform to your brain format. But if you don't want to conform legally, it's going to look foreign, because all you've been taught is how to conform legally without knowing. When we say we're not legally trained, to some extent, we are half legally trained, because we've got the wrong language and the setup and the way that they've got us operating as the trustee and the debtor and so forth. We've been in an office, for 40 something years. Me, I haven't had a wage. I've been working here. I begrudge giving anybody a bit of extra time. No, I won't. But 40 years is a lot, or whatever, let's say from 18 until 40, you've got a good 22 years and you've lost property, you've had claims, you've been to court, you've paid fines, you've paid taxes, and you didn't need to all that time. And you hadn't even had a wage for it as well. So there's a lot of compensation due. I feel the pain. I see the issue. I'm not siding with them at all. It's insane. It really is. You just got to reflect and bounce and know. That was good though, what you said, Kev. That was like what you would call in time travel, where you have a time loop paradox. You just went on a name paradox of legal quandary. I don't think I've ever. Yeah, but so we just tidied that up. You have an estate.
You'd be born, right? Your certificate's in. Somebody calls you by your name. Next thing, summons through the door. How dare you? You've infringed on the copyright name.
I would argue that just to tidy up, because that was a good point, and we don't often get to chat like this, and we've asked for questions and comments, so let's supply and demand.
Yeah.
The David part, I would say, is the public side. If there was a public and a private now, let's go a bit deeper, because we can. David, Kevin, Flynn, Lisa, Jerry, Ewok, public. Public, commonly called, commonly known. David, Ewok, Lisa, Rosie, whatever. Now, when we've put in the publications and we've gone and said we haven't authorized this name here today to be used in commerce, we're not pissing about here. We're deadly serious. Who has given the bond and got the bond and authorized it and is charging the bond without said, executive decision maker, the trust? What's the trust? Jeremita, Phillips, Finn, Yates, etc. So that's the private part. That's the problem, that this is a private estate with funds and acquisitions and property and, charges and discharges. That's the private part. So you can't just go and get private property and start using it and dipping in and out without authority and without permissions and without, what's the word? What's your status? What's your capacity? What's your standing? And if you're not directly linked and you haven't got authorities and stuff, then you're caught with your hand in the pot, with the pot red-handed, and that's where we hold them to account, isn't it? Because that's the privacy part. So you have a name, a calling, and an estate, and when you manage it properly, you see that the public, common, known as, and calling is that given name, Christian name, and then your family estate is your private sector. But you have your own clan name, and that's not to be mixed up with the estate. So again, Jeremita, Phillips, Yates, Finn, Smith, whatever is your clan name, and that lowercase name is just of. So David, Jar's son, Jeremita, David, son of Jeremita, all lowercase. That's nothing to do with the state. That's my identity of my blood and my lineage in a private manner, par syntax, quantum grammared up, or whatever you want, with all the sign offs. Yeah, and then you got your trade name, which is a attached generally, the public, Christian, what's the word? The creditor, non-sinful, and then you've got the state attached on to make you the sinner debtor to the. So you've got that, and that's come from Christian remedy and law initially, and the KJV. These positionings of. Over to you, Quantum Head.
Exploding that stuff, mate. Fucking hell. Yeah, Justice has got stars. No, it just makes me laugh. I was saying to Anne earlier today, I think I might have said this probably last week because I'm sort of a repetitive idiot. Just sort of along the same lines as, like we're all told, we're using fossil fuels and gas and electric and all this, and we've all got to be taxed on it because that's
wood
because
stopping
we're using so much of it.
Yeah,
but what's the alternative, right? So this is what pisses me off. There's no alternatives. Why are we paying the tax? If these big energy companies aren't coming up with alternatives, why aren't they the ones paying the tax?
Well, if you supply oil for 100 years and you know oil's going to pollute, then you've made that technology. You've caused that pollution. You tidy it up. When you buy, let me just not get angry, calm. Let me breathe a minute. I've never done this, and the trust does not have one. Let me swear under the Creator now. But allegedly, when you purchase a nuclear submarine, in the purchase price, I've done some weird research, I know. In the purchase price, rightly so though, this is for the environment and the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, the coral reefs and the fish and etc. like that. So when I've been looking at Fukushimas and other such things, I accidentally found out that corporations, nation states generally, they buy submarines, nuclear powered, fission and rockets and weaponry and everything, not just the drive motor, but the actual internal weaponry that you can have as optional upgrading. Would you like the sports model, or do you just want the standard Scud, And sorry, at the point of decommissioning, it's paid for in the purchase price. So, that's where with this technology, we should be like that. So they should pay for what they have done, or at least move over to the alternatives, of which we've got electromagnetic and hydrogen to say too, which are cutting edge 100 years ago, and we're 100 years on, so God knows what we could be, Creator knows what we could be playing with now.
I find myself correcting myself all the time like that.
Yeah,
maritime law, we're all sailing on the seas of commerce, whether you like it or not. You're on your ship.
Oh, come with me.
And the pirates are coming.
Oh, let me get something here. Let me just see if I can find something for you to reminisce for the older ones in there. You just reminded me of something. The theme song to Portland Bill from back in the day. It's not particularly great, and I'll probably get another community strike for copyright, but it is very old. And it is worth it. 85,000 views. I don't know what year this was out, but they were indoctrinating me. Yeah, it won't come out because it's tiny speakers and that, but just for a crack. Let's see if it works. Can you hear that? No? Oh, you're far away. It'll be on the video. Yeah, I'll put the link into the chat room. It's just something, a cartoon that I used to enjoy coming back from school indoctrination camp. Your rendition reminded me of that, which is where the link come from. Little folk singer you, Kev.
Yeah, that's me.
I've seen you with your rainbow guitar on the streets in Streakers Corner.
Yeah.
I was on Streakers Corner, and I happened to notice you on Speakers Corner. There's a link for the old school heads, then Portland Bill.
Portland Bill. It's in Weymouth,
Puddle. There was another one. No, was it? What was it now? Puffin Lane or something? Portland Bill and I can't remember now. Mr. Ben. Oh, distraction again.
Oh, Mr. Ben, here we go.
Oh, yeah, I liked him.
Did he have the other weird ones? No, that wasn't really my era.
Willow the Wisp. That was a weird one.
Yeah, Kenneth Williams.
What's all that about? Yeah. Good Lord. Yeah.
Danger Mouse.
That weren't weird, but yeah, Penfold was a bit suspect.
Well, it was a little bit. The strangeness. What we got?
12:30. Just doing a
Lumens.
Rewind.
Yeah, the Clangers. That's going back a bit. The Clangers.
Seaman Staines, Captain Pugwash.
Yeah, Captain Pugwash. Rhubarb and Custard.
Oh yes, they made a rave tune out of that theme. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
Excellent. That was when I just was being programmed right in the middle of the programming of music. Rhubarb and Custard, because there was a tablet you could find out and about that gave you a lot of energy at raves in the early 90s. It was yellow and red.
Really?
That was called a Rhubarb and Custard, and what they did very cunningly, now I'll expose it because for what it was, somebody in a high ranking financial, must have had 1 million of these printed up and distributed, unofficially in the beginning of the let me think, capital gains, equity theft of the quasi I can't even say it, quasi trusts, Thatcher, and the downgrading of the public sector to private, rave, Rhubarb and Custard, Ecstasy. I don't know how many records I've got. Shades of Rhythm, number 1 for it. Ecstasy, The Sounds of Eden, and the Ecstasy, Sweet Sensation. If you've got the purple album of Shades of Rhythm on vinyl, you are a lover of fine dance music, and I salute you with my sovereignty. And
Planet Rock.
Yes, old music as well as old tunes. We've got the links there. But Rhubarb and Custard, back to the point. Ecstasy, Hacienda, Distraction, Nomad, I Want to Give You Devotion. He even sung, I will never forget it, about Margaret Thatcher and the council tax. It's a key moment in my time for going from the transitional child to worrying teenager about bills as I get older and what I'm going to have to pay when I'm seeing as a kid man is struggling as adults, as minors, losing the job, getting locked up for not paying tax, and I was trying to think of escaping to go and find some Rhubarb and Custards and rave out to Nomad and etc. It was a fine old time, let me tell you. It was definitely manufactured. That didn't happen by accident, I do not believe. Sidelined the upcoming generation and the existing adults. If you watch some of them early 90s rave videos, I'm embarrassed. I really am. I'm sorry for that. I apologise for my involvement in that scene, but there was nobody hurt and nobody killed until, Leah Betts came along and others that drank too much water and etc. So they introduced, a social climate change on a political level and on a social level, much like the opium and heroin wars that we found out, and the initial American ecstasy MDMA introduction of mind control for mortgage, I believe, counselling marriage advice. It was to advise splitting up, was it husband and wife, spouses, and they achieved more in 2 days than they did in 2 or 5 years, and it was integrated much like the women and the blue pill back in the day, drugs and society. It's got not so much criminals and gangsters, but more governmental and private pharmaceutical cooperative connections, as we find. Yeah.
Yes, mate. It was a great time, though, wasn't it?
Over to you. I don't know. I just can't remember. It's 88 onwards, and I was 10 then. I grew up into a.
Too young. You were just a spring chicken. I was right there, mate. 87 on.
Others, yeah, I've heard, and 95, 92s, we had some fine old gatherings, and I thought that was going to be the future. It really did look the way forward. But they put the kibosh on that and locked off the fields and soon made everything illegal and told you to get back in your boxes, and we did. Look.
Yeah, get back in your holes, peasants. You're out there enjoying yourselves. Expanding your minds. Get back in the pit.
Doves. Oh, Bard, look at the chat room now. What have we done? We've just sent everybody back. Look, and they're all like, what?
Orange Callies, doves, rhubarbs.
We have a lot in common. I knew this when I first started out, and I said the floaty like quavers and the demographic of the ones we have seen, and we've been manufactured in a way, and this is the mold that we are breaking to some extent. We're performing as we have been programmed to, but to other extents we are in an area which they never expected us to go in. So the system, the elite, the programming, the corpses, the media, the Hollywood, the drugs, the additives, the everything combined is a big old plan, and we've broken out through our own demise, and we've refused to, self-terminate or harm others, and we're trying as individual minds to come together and find a better way. So well done to all in the chat and on the replay viewing this. Kudos to us all.
Fair play.
You've made it. Well done. Congratulations. There's no prize.
Yeah, big old. Do you remember the big old disco biscuits? I know they're probably a bit before your time. They were like the size of a 2p or 10p piece. No, 2p piece. An old 10p piece, not one of these new funky ones. Oh, amazing things they were.
Yeah, we've encroached on this. There's a red flag coming up for abuse and mortality and dangers, and we're all drug users when we get to the sugar hit. Where Matt in Sheffield has got a song, "Sugar's more addictive than cocaine." He sings it quite a lot, and it's true. So there's a fact. When you're and you're after your chocolate at the till, it's the first drug after the injections and the pharmaceutical medical council's approved toxins that we have. And then after your sugar, we get introduced to legal drugs. The water, the fluoride. There's another one. When you're young, straight away, neurotoxin. I'm afraid. There you go. So when we're talking about the drugs, you need to know. Not just the nicotines and the caffeines and the etc. that are legal and licensed. They kill you. They really do. They're not safe at all. None of them. And so others that go out there and balance the life, and wine o'clock, that's alcohol. That is a legal taxed alcohol. Because it's legal and it's taxed, suddenly there's no stigma to it, but it's one of the worst, nastiest.
It's acceptable.
It's worst thing on. Go on, Kev. Go on, speak.
Yeah, worst thing out there. Absolutely, you've seen it. I've seen it. Ruin relationships, families, and beyond lives. It's the worst thing. The worst thing out of all of it, and it really does cause so much damage. But it's done that way. It's just, can't have us all round sitting about giggling and laughing, having a banger and thinking about shit, can they? They want us all fighting each other, and it's all part of the big picture, isn't it?
So back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, there was a desire to break away from the old routine and to encompass a new community. It was the United colours of Benetton for me in rugby, Coventry, Club Eclipse, the rave scene, cultures and things coming together. We couldn't dance, we weren't trained, it was quite foreign in the beginning, but it was a good feel, a good vibe. And the dance rave, Chicago, Detroit house. Any DJs out there will know about Frankie Knuckles and the movement of the Chicago, Detroit house tech sample. Amazing sounds, amazing engineers, really good production values, the raw talent that came out, the actual lyrical content was second to none. You've got White Lines, is it Master? What was the first hip hop tune now? Sugar Hill and the Gang. Come on, I can't fail this. Isn't it? Not White Lines, Sugar, but that was a drug cocaine song, very prevalent in the day and coded up. They knew more than we ever did. some days today, but that's gone. That's been quashed and bought out. We've got the high priestesses now of the House of Gaga and Ariana Grande, and there's quite a few. Katy Perry has got a nice one. A few of them, if you listen to the lyrics about aliens and going to other galaxies, and the messages and codes are there, but they're not like they used to be with Ice Cube, Ice T, Mother Hookers, and FBI, duck the CIA, duck the. Remember that? Did you have that mixtape where he come on at the beginning and started slagging off all of the authorities of the states and the feds? And
that's right.
yeah, he was duck this and duck that and duck something else, and it came on with the Ice Cube. He was in the Hollywood films and Run DMC, NWA. Biggie, East Coast, West Coast, and look at it now where it's gone. The voices, they've turned them gay and shut them up. What? Shh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
White chicks.
Fucking hell.
I know. What was I? Oh, really? Yeah, sorry, I've splintered back to the old school music if you want. We can wrap up, Kev, if you're feeling tired. Chat room's going strong. It's still busy.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm getting a bit peckish, I must admit. I might have to go and do something to eat. No, I've got to go and get a drink because I'll leave the headphones here this time so you don't get all the noise of the ice machine.
Grandmaster Flash, that's it. That's the one. White Lines is the secondary one to the Sugar Hill Gang, which was the first hip hop funky allegedly.
Yeah.
But that's got its roots, and other than the house music that Britain put out back in the early 90s, there's a lot there. Opus 3, Fine Night Tonight, what was that? That just amazed me. I hated it, and now I love it. I absolutely treasure that track. But when Sinead O'Connor came out, skinhead woman, that was another thing. Oh, women don't have skinheads. She got she more than the tune, she was on the papers for having a skinhead. Then you've got what she said, it's a fine night tonight, people open windows. You look at the lyrical content compared to the stateside and the musical, as I've said, expertise that was coming out in the lyrical content, and then you had her in a monotone voice with a skinhead not fitting in. It was just foreign to me, as a young boy, and consciously trying to comprehend it, and a tone. It wasn't very melodic, and it was very the same, and going out and opening windows and leaving your houses only for a short time, and some of it was a bit warpy for me, I'm afraid. I don't know how you lot feel, but some bands and artists scared me. I didn't understand Culture Club. I'm not having a go at anybody, but I didn't get what were going off at the time, and you don't have anybody explain it, so you're left in the ether to work it out with yourselves. And if you ask your mates anything and you don't know, they pick on you and call you whatever because you're not up to speed and you get the wrong words out. So it's very, they do stuff to you that's you might have, what about this one? You're in a rave and then you go to the bar and then the bloke starts chatting you up and you're like, hang on a minute, I'm drunk. And you click on, you think they're being pally. And then you're like, listen, whoa. It's all very well and good, but the music came from a scene of, and that was different to the commercial machine side of it, was what we noticed. And I think that's why a lot of us went to cut into the chase now, we refused to conform, and we went to non-conformist areas to unwind and mix with a demographic which was loving, open, and foreign, to be fair, at the beginning of them times.
Yes, mate.
Let's go to the room.
Yeah, just having a look in there. Alan Blair says, always good to have trustworthy people around you when you're taking things for the first time, as it makes you more confident that all will be okay. Yeah, it's the best setting you can, really.
That's why we don't take solicitors to court then.
Yeah.
Sorry, just flipping it over.
Absolutely right, well said. Yeah, it's not, especially some of the more mind...
Paul O'Malley. Check Paul's comment out. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. That means
I'm trying. Oh right, I'm going back. I'm trying to go backwards a bit.
Leo 1 is a new scribe. He's just had a pizza. Thank you, Leo. Kev is hungry. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
Alan says Planet Love Festival Antrim. Thank you for the rewind selector on there. Shout out to Dublin Raven.
Thanks, Paul. That's a really nice comment, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, you get it, yeah?
Yeah.
Suck it up, absorb it, bask in it, Kev. Bask.
Oh, Leo's just had a pizza. Look, yeah, I did hear you just say that. Yeah. Yeah, that'll do me now. But I've got some. I know what I'm having. It's going to take about 4 minutes to sort. I've just suddenly realised I'm starving. Not that I haven't eaten anything, but I keep thinking, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. That's not it. Because normally at my age, I just wouldn't entertain eating at this time of night. But tonight I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm conscious of the time. I just want to say, in light of what we've just talked about and where we've just been as a fam, reminiscing our teenage and younger years as a product of the machine and the cogs in the wheel, consciousness, young consciousness, questioning and growing and being nurtured and whatever. That first video link that I've given you with 25 videos in, I'm sure there's a little video clip in there of a DMT experiment that allegedly the scientists did, and they give you quite a lot of information, and there's like video recordings of laboratory tests. So when I gave you that disclaimer earlier, I wasn't messing around. I was being serious. That there's some serious claims in that compilation at the beginning of the chat of the first video link I posted. And I'm interested to see more on this. Anyone that's done ayahuasca treatments and been to a South American or a real retreat and paid and gone and been, I'd like to hear from you on that, because I believe that this over here could have beneficial effects for us all. This is a simplified, natural
I think psychedelics in general really are good for the brain, even in microdoses. I think you'd get, from experience.
Well, again, it would be a trust venture that we'd do it as, and we'd have to go over and meet and be not qualified and licensed, but effectively knowledgeable and competent in. And then we would, like I mentioned with Kevin earlier, with the coaching and mentoring of the vulnerable sons and daughters with the care orders and etc. And I said, you have to break the mental spirit and cry, and not nastily, but go through a course of acceptance and the stages of, before you have to face your problem and fears and whatever it is, your barriers, and that normally reduces you further down. You break, you purge, and then we build up and we repair, and we coach and monitor, like what you've been doing and others have been doing, Kev, over the course of our lives. So with ayahuasca, that's your same, but with a chemical intervention. And you look at the hundreds of thousands of species of plants in the Amazon rainforest, and you work out that this tribe and clan say that the star people told them which ones to mix and what to do, because when they drew this, they get to speak to an entity, a consciousness that guides them further, that are waiting for them. And it's not like any other psychedelic influence where the body takes a neurotoxic drug and neurally trips out, and everybody, say if 10 of us did it, each one of the 10 would see on LSD and the current known hallucinogens that we have from cactus, mushroom and plant-based extracts. We would see different things, and none of it would be constant, whereas the ayahuasca and DMT is linked into the biometrics of the brain and the body when you die and pass away, and this is the spirit molecule that we're talking about now. So it's very interesting that we all seem to have claims of, when we've taken this, and the research is in its initial stages for us, I'm afraid. I am no master and expert, but we did share some DMT at the first conference down in Oxford, and had a chat privately, safely, and for more work needs to be done on that front. But I do see a lot of beneficial uses. It's a horrible thing to do, and you will be, search Bruce Parry For more information, I've watched him go to some jungles and tribes, and he was the one that I first saw way before it became fashionable. It was a BBC, I'm afraid, compilation on a DVD box set somebody got me, and he'd been visiting a lot of tribes, and me and this lady from Sheffield, a sister called Loretta, watched that old box set. She had it as well, and I rewatched it with her, and I saw how he went through it all, and I just thought that looks some top level purge, and you really meet your inner self. You reduce down to. There's a video of Mike Tyson on YouTube telling you that he's been the biggest and baddest and hardest man that ever did walk the plane of, like a Muhammad Ali statement, and then he tells you when he went and had some ayahuasca and DMT, he started to cry and feel fear and scary, and he says he's never, and it's changed him. He says he's a changed man. I'm like, so be wary of these adventures you go on. I have no liability for what may happen to you. You make your own decisions, but they can be life changing in that aspect. You know, general medical counsels and practitioners, they won't change your life. Not like that, no.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Sorry, I was just
credit to the researchers and the ones that go and do that extra mile and research, and you know.
Yeah. Go and look it up. Don't believe us, but yeah, the people that it's always rewarding when you put yourself out. That is my experience. Always rewarding.
Why have they been taken away from us? Why are they limited? Why are they restricted? Why do they call them higher self, higher, getting high priest, high court, yeah, high Yah, high karate, high tea? I'll go on for ages. I've looked at it. I've studied this bit, and I'm looking at the highness, the going back to the churches and the fish heads and the different types and the sky gods and the spirit and the ancient Indians, the Hopi, the Amazonian, the rainforest. It's everybody gets high. The feathers on the heads of the Indians were so they could fly, allegedly. You know, fly up higher spiritually when you smoke and get into that trance dance, and you smoke the peace pipe and you get the spirit from the fire. The big chief with the feathers on his head, he can fly up spiritually, mentally to get high. I'm like, what's this high business then? You smoke weed, you get high. You get high in many forms, but you smoke alcohol, it deadens the spirit. Deadens the soul, and evokes the spirit, and the spirit runs free, and then you wake up the next day going, oh. Sometimes in your youth you're not high, you feel low. So I'm not advocating anybody go out and get high. I'm just transferring, you know, that's not what we're here for. The healers,
Indian, originally Egyptian, possibly. Good question like that, but yeah, if you look at renderings of Egyptians or even some of the hieroglyphics, very possibly.
Cut off from the source. The room is chatting on munches. We've got a mixture of chocolate, cookies, some kind of salmon, I think, from Lisa.
Yeah, we just had apple crumble and custard in there, which set me off on rhubarb crumble and custard, which I've got no chance of tonight, so I'll just have to make do with what I'm going to have in a minute. Yeah, I just suddenly thought, I'm bloody starving.
We're all good. There's no questions, and we'll look at wrapping up for. Let Kev go and get some recharge, and I'll get some.
I'm not complaining. I'm quite happy. Yeah. I mean, I can. You know, I mean, I'm up. I can eat in a while. I don't have to run off. But you were tired, so.
Yeah, I am.
I don't mind. Yeah. I mean, it's we've done all right. It's 1 o'clock nearly. We've done
2
couple of hours. Yeah, done a bit in the other one, so we've had a little go again. Thanks very much. Just all the new people in tonight. Some great questions.
It's been good.
Please come back again. You're more than welcome. It's been nice to see a few new names in tonight. Really has. And as I say, some great points and some. I hope we've been able to give some of you some.
Leo, I see Leo with one at the end there on about the America Grand Canyon. Lisa's saying, "Hey, what's up? Hello, thank you." There was the ones in grey. I need to upgrade some to moderators actually while we're here. A few of you, as you've been on a while now, but Irish Gale Force. Yes, it's been fun. We've had some good interaction. You've occupied yourselves, and it's like we host a little cafe where everyone comes in and ensconces on a little, bean bag, has a drink, a cigarette, chills out, contributes to the big main chat, but then goes off and it's hard to keep up.
It's been really great. So, as I say, it's 3 or 4. Paul O'Malley. There's a couple of other names I haven't seen before tonight that I don't recall anyway. It doesn't mean they weren't there. No, I'm pretty good at keeping an eye on the room. So no, it's been really nice. Paul's made some thanks for your comments tonight, Paul. Do come back again. Come back, and anything you're not sure on, that's what we're here for. Anything you want to know about, got any issues you may need assistance with, then you know where we are.
Craig and Williams have put in a name that I haven't seen for ages. Ebenezer Good.
Yeah, I'd clocked that a minute
when
ago,
I was on about ecstasy, and that's a prime example. When I saw that man come on, I went, Mum, what's he saying? Because shortly after we had Bob Holden's, Blockbuster, and that bloke, there was for some reason, somebody ended up sampling the bloke that asked for an E please, Bob. And do you see what I mean? The media pushed it in your face. The word ecstasy was everywhere. It was swamping the nightclubs. Nicky Lauder and MDMA derivatives of E please Bob, Ebenezer Good, E's are good, 7 E's are good. I'm like, what the hell? Ebenezer Good. That was just really random, but thank you for that comment because it ties in with what I was saying that I failed to deliver. So respect for that, Craig and David Williams. Sorry.
Gail, we're going for Africa.
What's that? Sorry.
Gail was just saying. So this is so weird. Now the room's going up. Now I'm losing comments. If you see what I mean, it's going up so fast they're disappearing off the screen. Now we've got a blank screen. That's never happened.
We're going to upgrade. Trust me. This is in all.
What is going on here?
Taking the time, but when you get it, it's going to be quality. And if I can emulate anything like Lifting the Lid and other such channels, and we might even get a green screen, who knows, and have some proper fun. Yes, I think it's about time. As I used to DJ and blend in tracks, I think we could video DJ and superimpose and have some real fun. Get the chat room up on the screen.
I've got some intro music as well.
That's another thing. Lifting the Lid's got some music, and I'm like, hang on a minute then. Is there a revenue? Is there a source?
We've got to have a soundtrack, or not a soundtrack, but a tune.
We need one for this show, for Dave and Kev.
Exactly,
we could do with one, a theme tune, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, do the theme tune, host the show. Is that Fast Show? Something on, what's his face? Who was it now? That he was right little and small and tiny in the sketch, and there was a big man at the office.
Was that the Fast Show?
Yeah. And he was always on about the theme tune, singing the theme tune. From Minder, what was his name? The laddo from Minder, weren't it? Too many memories, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I know you mean.
I can't think of his name. Arthur Daly, weren't there, and laddo in Minder?
Dennis Waterman.
That's him. I think it was Dennis Waterman that was on about the theme tune in that sketch. And I was very, very drunk at the time.
That's Paul Whitehouse, isn't it?
Oh, sorry. Let's close down. Say thank you, peace and love. Excellent, busy room. We're progressing. Is the point I was making in many ways.
Well, hang on, quick. Craig and Williams, 3 dots. You could put 3 dots at any point. That just means that the statement isn't complete, as far as I'm aware. Do 3 dots before, 3 dots after. It just means it's unfinished business, really. So you can add more. But VC under duress. But yeah, you could go VC under duress, put 3 dots after, you put 3 dots before V.C. sign, 3 dots after.
You see, I'm
As
a
far
man
as I'm aware of.
with all due respect, I've struggled to find the Oxford because we're substances, men of substance and form, and not so much hearsay, conjecture, and speculation these days, and that's what's got us in good stead. I say this with love and respect. I would like to see, like we have with the syntactic structures of Noam Chomsky and the parsyntax grammar of the windmillers and the Russell Goulds and etc. and the Glossa Channel and the ancient bastardized and dogma and etc. Let me see. Let me present or us present.
Proof.
Yeah, please, because this is dangerous. All right, it's all very well and good until the lights come on and the music stops playing, and then you find out what the true picture is of the the dance scene, the rave, when it's finished. So we have ways of protection and assigning liability or removing and reserving rights, don't we, Kev? So you can choose.
Yeah.
We're not giving you legal advice here. We're just having a chat and looking out for one another and using logic and intelligence rather than. I am one that has applied 3 dots previously, and I know that if you put by and little given name, then that's your autograph, and that hasn't got liability because that's just the man doing it, and you can put by, say, David, all rights reserved. You could put UCC there. You can put VC. You need to know what VC means. If you use UCC codes, you need to know what they mean when questioned upon them as well. Come on, let's lock it down a bit tighter than 3 dots. I'm being respectful.
Yeah, you're right. It is. I've not seen anything solid to back up what they mean. I've heard, and I think it came from the Freeman stuff, and so, but I've never used it. Lisa, Craig's put in there, vicoactus or vis compulsiva. So it means basically signs under duress. So you do V.C. and then sign your normal name, especially if it's in a little box, like they do for your signature and stuff like that, obviously for authority. So, if it's like, if you don't sign our paperwork, we're not going to release you from the cell, from the detention. So, okay, I'll sign it, but VC it. So it's, I've only signed this under duress. So it actually voids your signature, technically, because it's under duress.
And we have covered, like I said, the difference between signatures and when you're giving the signature, it's also known as the equitable asset. You've got the BC, the insurance policy, the Santa Claus, which is the equitable instrument. So you have an instrument of which you are the holder in due course, and you have the asset of which you affix on behalf of the person. So if you're affixing an asset on behalf of a person, an entity, a trust, SPLs, Kevin or David, imagine it's something like that rather than your signature. Your man doesn't have a signature. Man has autograph and a mark and a seal. You have a thumb mark, not thumbprint. These are just my lines of conjecture, and you feel free to whatever. But we just need to get the basics done. Signatures, person, equitable, asset, certificate, birth, insurance policy, person, entity, estate, equitable, instrument. You keep them, and you know that they are legal things. When you sign, you've done a legal application on behalf of the person. You are the authorised agent and representative, settlor, grantor, etc. in office at that time, managing that. But there's no disclosure, and no one in the office knows. So that all this fanciness is going to fall on deaf ears until the point of when it's questioned or needed to be enforced, or when they hold you to account for the policy and the rulings. You can then point out that you have amended what we said earlier, Kev, in a previous video, with amending the notes and then copying and sending it back and not telling them, and they just file it away. And later down the line, when there's conjecture and controversy and claims made, we point out that we changed the terms and conditions and didn't actually make it known. And I said it was funny in mental. Don't anybody do this. Me and Kev was having a laugh, and we realised that it wouldn't stand, because you need to be honourable and disclose and point out and give them the time for equal consideration, is it not? So we did have a little laugh and be naughty, but we realised that it wasn't going to. But we saw a way through that probably would have worked. It was a workaround. It was quite funny, weren't it?
Yeah, hard work the once, and they'd have shut it down real quick.
Yeah,
The fuckers.
but there's mans here saying they want to have a rave and carry on, and we've got them going. We've had a good vibe, and there's a comment here from somebody saying, wait, that they was trying to link something with the Sumerians. Wait, my chat's gone weird, Kev.
Is it? Let me this. Right, let me go back. Okay. Oh, steady on. I can't.
I was trying to link the groove where people to the Babylonians, as I think the Sumerians are said to be white people. That was from Leo. What I was going to say to that was, funnily enough, I used to really enjoy the weird sounds of the KLF, and one of the tunes that got me was "All Bound for Moo Land." Wow, yeah, and I think on the vinyl it was a bit like the alternate tracks. They were about 6 to 10 to 12 minutes long. They were bordering on trance epics, to be fair, not so much a commercial dance beat, but "All Bound for Moo Land," the KLF, is what I'll offer to Leo. It's just one of my favourite.
KLF are gonna rock you.
Yeah, and just where he comes on and handles the mic and what he says, and the old school, it just makes me feel little and innocent and happy, whenever I hear it. And then we come back to reality. You've all got a tune like that, I'm sure. But thank you for that, Leo.
I've been a good crack actually this evening. I was feeling a little bit subdued earlier on, but that soon subsided.
Jerry's getting the glow sticks out, that's who it was.
Jerry's off.
Cracking.
Nipping down the town, see what he can score. Get on it, boy.
Super Leeds is about easy. Leeds.
Super Leeds. Good
just
evening. Good morning. Yeah. Wow. Charlie says.
Ewok, everybody, room scribes, you are welcome. It's our pleasure. We know you're all right. We like to check on you once a week and just splash down, give you a couple of hours. Everybody feels looked after, connected. Gotta get myself connected. What was that? Stereo MCs. Hey. I love that one. Get myself connected.
Great album.
Wow.
Absolutely brilliant.
The writing's on the wall. It is on the wall, Kev. That's our theme tune. Yeah. That could be our theme tune. The writing's Stereo MCs. Or Stone Roses. He's gonna step on you again.
Yeah. No, we could have one as an intro, one as an outro.
That was a good one, don't you know? What's that? Go on, sorry, I was away.
Come in with Stereo MCs and go out with Stone Roses.
And have a big dance and a silliness at the end, yes. I'd like to find last closing thoughts to subscribes and the ones on the replay. If you know anywhere where there's a big Airbnb down south, I'd like to know about it. If you don't know what an Airbnb is, I'm sorry, you're about to embark on an excellent little hotel pop-up adventure of the future. I'd like to contemplate. They are many and various, all right, and they're not all the same, so don't judge them, but it's a new concept and it involves utilizing space on your property, and you can rent out equivalent of a bed and breakfast at a private property, using this .com service that's sprung up. So have a look at it, and I'm doing the same, and I'm looking for a meeting, a private gathering, an update, and maybe an Airbnb. So if you could help me on that, I'd appreciate it. And if you don't know, go and have a look.
You don't know, now you know.
Wigger.
Steady?
I said wigger, that's what I
I
said.
know what you said.
Yeah. Let's go then with that closing comments.
Thank you, everybody. It's been great. You've been brilliant in the chat room. It's been a laugh, some great comments, some new people. Please come back again. We'll definitely be here next week. No, much respect to everybody. Huge love to you all. I hope you all have a good end to your weekend and a safe and healthy and prosperous week next week, everybody. You know where we are if you need us. Much love to you all.
Yeah, we've got Anders, another little bit of news, working on some different type of GANs and sending me some new GANs. I've got an update for you. I'm holding off sending stuff to Brother Santos till I get some new stuff and some of these designs and those that what was I going to say? Concerned about infection and sterility, viruses, contagions. I'm not trying to scare anyone. It's in the news already. I didn't start the fire. We've got. I don't know how to say it legally. We've got claims that there may be technology that can protect us against threats that may contaminate our systems. So I'm not claiming anything. There's no medicine here. There's no selling of medicine. There's no claiming of fixing cures. But what I'm saying is we've got some technology coming that is claimed to have magnetic and gravitational biorhythm effects, and it can enhance our makeup and tune us, if you like, our resonant frequency. And as you know from Victor, which one, Schrauberger and other such studies of sonic phonetic resonance frequency, it can do well. Not just sonically clean your garments, for instance. That's one application that I've seen that's gone into the commercial realm of this sonic technology. Toothbrush cleaning. Tooth is important. Your teeth are important. Your toothbrush operating sonically. But now we've got some other excellent sonics, and these are silent. And Anders has explained to me that he's got some tech that he can try and get the frequencies from and listen to and give you more concise information about what's going on. So it's yet to be looked at, examined, proven and studied, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited.
And I've just seen Andy in the room. All right, Andy, mate, hope you're okay. Have you got it all under control, brother? You know where I am. Probably about time we had a chat. Got a few little things I could probably pass on to you that you might find useful in your attacks or your defences, probably.
Lisa, you children are all up past your bedtime. Yeah, I love it.
We know, Mum and Dad have gone out, so we're going wild.
Charlie says, oh wow, it's carrying on.
Yeah, yes.
We'll speak to, is it Alan you was on about there? Sorry, yeah. Yes, well, I've got some calls to make to Alan's to chat
Andy,
to.
I've got to speak to Alan's as well. I've got to speak to,
Oh, Andy.
I'm just saying, Andy's, he's just put something in about, he's just done a new letter, so I'm taking it they're giving you some more grief, or are you just sticking it to them for the sake of it in a lull, which I also like to do. Oh, have I got to do today? Absolutely nothing. Oh, right to DWP and piss them off a bit more. That's always good for the soul. Have a meet on the 10th of March. Why was the 10th of March? Oh, yes. I know why 10th of March is important. Talking of E, 10th of March, that word begins with it, E, eviction.
Yeah.
Great. I don't think there's anybody I missed in the room said hello. More grief, mate. Oh, well, let's have a chat then next week. Have to be after Monday, mate, that's for sure. So Tuesday on, let's try and and hook up, brother, and let's see what's going on. So I have got a few things that you might have heard, you might not. Just some extra little stuff I need to start pointing out. Just add some more clout to what you're doing. So yeah, we'll speak, brother, without a doubt. We can't let these fuckers. We're close now. I should. I'm hoping to have possibly by the end of this week. It'd be nice for this week. I went through a process. Is all I want to say at the moment. After my last encounter, shall we say, with them, I've just got part of a response back from the entities. It's not the DWP either. So I'm just waiting now for a further response clarification, and signs are looking good with what I have been supplied. So although I've got to be honest, not holding my breath, I don't think it's going to say exactly what I want it to say, because that would just be, that would be it. The game's over. So I can't see it. Nobody's giving it up that easy. But there could be one thing in particular. So hopefully by the end of this week, coming by sort of Friday, maybe I'll have got the full response, and I might be able to bring you some interesting news. Conversely, it could be so groundbreaking I might not be able to bring it to you at all at this time. I might have to wait.
Yeah.
But we're keeping you updated. Everything else is still working. I said there's some more points we've noticed how they're messing about with the language on the forms now. So we've got some responses for that and easy ways to go back to that. And yeah. But Andy, we'll catch up, mate. So Tuesday, if you don't hear from me, send me a little message, something in Messenger or a text, mate, just to give me a nudge, and we'll hook up, mate, and have a chat. See what we can get you sorted out, bastards they are.
All right, much love to you. I'm just scrolling, see him.
No worries. Yeah, I think I'm all the way down the bottom of the room now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll have a
Yeah,
like.
well done, Alan. Well done, mate. That's right. Go and hit the like button, people, if you wouldn't mind. It'd be really nice. Get some likes up for Dave on his channel.
Oh, it's for you and I. It's titled Kevin and David, so it's for the title. It's for the viewers. That if the quality of the video was has given you a smile, if you've enjoyed it, if you've taken something from it, if you've given and taken bonus, you've completed the loop. So you advance to the next level. So it's all about one another and overall, so. High views and high likes is rare on Tube. You can find videos with like 3.5 million views but 15,000 likes, and you're like, hang on a minute, there's not many dislikes, there's 1,000 or so. I'm making it all up, but there is a commonality where you find millions of views, a few thousand likes and not many dislikes. Man can't be arsed, or just doesn't have the ability to notice that. I don't know, perhaps some use YouTube in different ways, and you have to respect that, and some don't feel the necessity to like or dislike. They just channel hop and stuff. Or like me the other day, when you use a TV or a different media device and you've got a remote and that, you don't get the options to do certain things on these whatever. So yeah, if you can give us a like or share, introduce to new possible clansmans and initiates of self. We have to be careful with the word initiate. I am aware that Hall, Crowley and others such as Lovecraft and that were initiates of the arts, but we are we are of this realm, but we are no art of it, no part of this, and we don't act the part. We don't, we are separating ourselves with this paper format, language and instrumentation. So just remember that, all right?
Exactly.
There's an art to it, and this scribes, they've got it. Thank you, much love, and
yeah, peace
we'll
and
be
love
back.
to you all. Well done, everybody. Thanks for hanging about with us. Hope you've learned something. Please come back. Bring friends. You never know where we're going. So there was no real agenda or issues tonight.
Listen. Irish Gale Force is getting dexterous. Please go over to Scorpio Muse on YouTube after Mum and Dad go to bed. All right, Scorpio
You make
Muse.
sure you behave yourselves, children.
Mm-hmm.
You go gallivanting around with strangers this time of night.
You feckin' Egypts. That's it. Peace out. Lots of love, lots of hearts. Thank you all, new scribes. Thank you, Kev, for your time as always. Much appreciated.
No worries. You're welcome. Enjoyed it as usual.
It has been
It's been
ride.
great. Yeah.
Who?
So for something that wasn't, no real direction, just to, let's nip in and see where it goes. So
We love you. Lots of love. Let's go then. See you, Tube. See you, Scribes. Thank you. And
yeah, see everybody.
look after yourselves.
Good night, peace and love.